Talk Mississippi, Gerard in the heart of the Neshoba County Fair, Founders Square, Mississippi's giant outdoor house party. And joining us now on the set, our good friend, the Speaker of the House of the great state of Mississippi, Mr. Philip Gunn. Good morning there, Mr. Speaker.
Hey, Gerard, good morning. Great to be with you, man. I'm glad you got this tent.
Got the tent, a little bit of fans going on, and I know you were just on the stage delivering your remarks. Appreciate you making your way over here.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's hectic there, so I caught a little bit of your speech, sir, and thought it was on target, on point, and it really is about individualism and individual opportunity. I mean, this just ain't hard, is it? That's kind of how we got here and built this great country. Government ain't the solution. Why is that so hard to comprehend these days?
Well, you're exactly right, and that's what I tried to touch on in my speech. I basically took an overview of us as a state of Mississippi versus the country. Where are we headed as a state versus where is this country headed? And talked a little bit about our national leaders who want to try to push this country in what I think is the wrong direction. I hit a lot on socialism, which seems to be the topic of the day, and why that's bad, and how we in Mississippi have resisted that. And I hit on just a few examples. Obviously, they give you a 10-minute time limit, and it's you can't hit everything. But I talked a little bit about critical race theory and how that is not the direction we need to go as a state. Talked about the push towards expanding Medicare and how that is not the direction we need to go. Talked about my income tax plan, trying to the plan that the House has passed, trying to make people realize they are better off with money in their own pockets rather than giving it to the government. And those are just some of the items that I hit. I talked about our House Bill 1510, which is on appeal to the United States Supreme Court. A lot of people may or may not realize that, but in 2018, the House passed House Bill 1510, which limits abortions after the 15th week. And if upheld, it will be the strongest bill protecting the unborn in the country. Obviously, a lawsuit was filed, and it has worked its way up to the United States Supreme Court. So proud of the leaders in the House who worked hard to make that happen. So those are just some of the highlights of my speech.
So I know you've been traveling around the state, and you've been discussing your tax reform plan. And I attended one of those with the Madison County Business League and Foundation.
Right.
So I think since you first started with the idea, Mr. Speaker, and got the legislation out there, I think it's fair to say you've perfected that speech. And I'm not being critical there, I think, but you get feedback at first, and then you realize, well, maybe there's some other things, because you get questions you hadn't thought about. And so it's very comprehensive now. I just want you to know that, and it's excellent. What kind of response are you getting?
Well, everywhere I go and present the plan, there's overwhelmingly positive response. I think people don't understand sometimes the plan, or they've been given misinformation about the plan. And as I have had the opportunity to stand in front of groups and say, now, let's walk through this. Let's don't have a knee-jerk reaction here. Let me explain to you how it works. They all seem to understand it and embrace it. And on the rare occasion which I've had a question asked, a concern that we don't know the answer, I've been able to get those answers back to those individuals and alleviate those concerns. So everywhere I go, when people give it a fair chance, they really embrace it. Obviously, the biggest concern is how do we replace the revenue? We have a plan for that, and the plan ends up, as you know, you and I've talked about it. Everybody ends up with more money in their pocket. Worst case scenario, people remain flat. They remain level. Worst case scenario, they may not get the benefit of eliminating the income tax, but nobody's being thrown into poverty. So it's been overwhelming.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I just think we got to get the message out. More people need to understand it. And as a side note, I had an opportunity to meet with Grover Norquist. People may not know that name. He's Americans for Tax Reform. He's a nationally renowned tax expert.
Had him on the show about a month ago.
I got a chance to meet with him last Monday.
Awesome.
In person.
Awesome.
For an hour.
Okay.
He loves the plan. He said, I'm here. I'm ready to go and do whatever you need to help. Yesterday morning, I had the opportunity to meet with Art Laffer and Steve Moore, who were economists that were advisors to Trump and Reagan. And they both wholeheartedly support getting rid of the income tax.
Awesome.
So it's more, and you and I have talked about the two economists at Ole Miss that wrote a plan. Talked about the benefits of it. So I just want people to give it a fair chance.
Well, it's fair to say, look, if there are details, nuances that need to be addressed, to maybe close a hole here and there. I mean, that's fair, but we got to get together and get something done, though.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's the main thing. Let's just don't say, well, we can't do that because of this, that, and the other. Well, we can find a way to address some of these issues as we sort of phase into this thing on a long-term basis, which is the essence of the plan.
Yep.
So, and so let's just, I'm hoping that you guys at the top there can work together and get something done.
I hope so. I'm optimistic that the senators have expressed desire to work with us. We're working together right now to try to find that path.
I understand Senator Harkins is going to be having some hearings or meetings
at the end of August.
Yeah,
it's going to be a joint hearing between House and Senate, and we're going to bring in some experts and hopefully gather more information that will push us across the finish line.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds good. Well, I just want you guys to encourage you guys to work together. I think as all citizens do. We want to see our go, especially that we got a Republican trifecta. We ought to be working together.
Well, and we do. I think some people think everything ought to be smooth, and it's you've been around the legislative process long enough to know it is a process.
Yeah.
People have different opinions. You got to work through those things and talk through those things. The good news is we do that. We do talk, and we are talking, and we're going to try to work out and find that sweet spot that we can all live with.
Good to hear. It's what we want to know. All right, what are some of your other legislative priorities coming up? It's hard to believe 2022 gets kicked off in a few months. I know you guys are involved in the planning of that right now. What are some of your priorities?
Yeah, well, I mentioned in my speech today that critical race theory seems to be the topic of the day. For everything I know about it, it's simply an attempt to inject racism into our education system. It's simply an attempt to elevate one race to the exclusion of another, or to demean one race over another. And we in Mississippi have worked long and hard to get where we are. I'm not saying we've overcome every problem, but we've made significant progress.
Agree.
We just don't need to go back there.
I totally agree.
And so the conversations that I've had with my members, that is an issue that's very important to them, and we're going to be looking to address that.
Good, because it, the left tends to want to sort of mask it. Oh, no, that's not really what that is. But when you dig underneath the covers and you see the content and the materials and what's being taught in schools and now even proliferating our private sector, even our military, I share examples of it continuously on the air, play tapes and so forth.
Yeah.
This is disturbing. This is not uniting our country. It's further dividing it. It's not changing hearts and minds to really address true racism. But if you just default by saying every imbalance in the country can be explained with some racial connotation, you don't have any credibility.
We're not moving in the right direction. I don't care who it is that's pushing that. You're not moving in the right. We need to be bringing people together, not finding ways to tear them apart.
Totally agree.
And that just doesn't seem to move us in the right direction, in my view.
And I feel like we have more racial harmony in this state, being fairly evenly divided. I think perhaps the highest percentage of African-American population of any other state. We're around 60-40. We seem to get along better than the other states where those numbers are reversed.
Well, you're right.
Or much more skewed in the other direction, I should say, not reversed.
I think we do have the highest percentage of African-Americans in the country per capita.
Yeah.
But yeah, we work hard to try to get along with our neighbor, black and white.
Yeah.
And I think we've while we're not perfect, we do set the example, I think, for other people.
I think that's right. I totally do. I talk about it in my travels all the time. So I'm proud of our state in that respect. All right, what's going on the medical marijuana front? I know Representative Yancey, Senator Blackwell have been working together, collaborating. Look like they're trying to get something done there. What do you hear? What do you expect?
Yeah, we're in conversations about that. We recognize the people of the state voted 75% to have a program. We're trying to figure out what that program will look like, as you know, and I've been on your show before.
Yeah.
Initiative 65, I don't believe, was that program. Initiative 65 did a lot of unintended things that most people didn't know about. And I base that on the conversations I've had with people since then who said, hey, I didn't know Initiative 65 did X, Y, or Z. So we're trying to fix that and come forward with a program that accomplishes what the people really wanted, which is a true medical marijuana program. I've been in conversations, multiple conversations with the Lieutenant Governor about that. I know that Lee Yancey on my end of the building was kind of working on a plan, and I think he's talking to Blackwell. I don't think we're at a point where we're in an agreement yet.
I got you. So we're no special session until we do. So I think we got a couple seconds left.
I have no, as I sit here right now, there's no plan for a special session.
Got it.
That could change tomorrow, but you never know.
Appreciate you coming on, Mr. Speaker, as always. Good to see you.
Absolutely. Good to be with you, and try to stay cool, Gerard.
Yes, sir.